Thank you for joining me for another one of my videos. My name is Cliff. I've been doing a series called 99 Problems, but my God ain't one. And in this series, I've been speaking out about what's going on in the world, mainly why we as humans are having so many problems. I count down from the 99th issue all the way up to the number one reason why the world and humans are having a battle against each other. The number one issue is our relationship with God. 99th topic I sent is confusion. This is the number one problem in the world. We're meant to be confused. I'm going to call this number 66, and I'm going to label it the Mafia. On most of my videos, the titles don't really reflect completely the whole scope of what the topics is about. I did this because, first of all, there's 99 topics at least. I'm going to make 99 topics, and they all really interlink with one another. I'm talking about the whole world and the deception of humans and the confusion that we're in against the one truth is Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, and without Him you're not going to make it to where you came from. You're not going to make it home. This topic I call Mafia, the Mafia. Back in the day when I was young, the term or the name the Mafia came out, I would say, in the early 70s. I was just a young chap, less than 10, and I would hear this term, or we would hear this term, the Mafia, and how this illegal organization works in the world. And back then, the question was, is the Mafia real? Nobody believed that the Mafia was real and an evil organization that makes money by devious means. And it was like a hidden organization. And back then, I guess the nature of the world, or the nature of man, was more on a general good nature. We wanted to believe that everybody is good, and even to this day we believe that nearly everybody is good, but it's completely opposite. Nearly everyone is bad, and mostly really bad. But the topic was the Mafia being real or not. And later on, the Mafia was definitely, as we know, has been exposed as a true organization, mainly Italian. But this is the day and age where we have another question that has arisen, and it's called, the organization is called the Illuminati. And the question is the same as before: is the Illuminati real? And what I've learned in a few years ago, that this organization is real, and it's the, I would say, the great-grandparent or great-great-grandparent to the Mafia. The Mafia is run by the Illuminati. So this program, or sorry, this video mainly is about the Illuminati, not the Mafia. Number 66. I use the number also to designate the importance of what I'm talking about, the Illuminati. The the demonic state that is so I use the reference of the number 66. The number 6 is known to be, if you learn on how the enemy, the evil one, uses numerology, the number 6 is demonic as well, or evil, or his number. Look around or hear what's going on in the world, you'll see many things making reference to the number 6. But that's another topic altogether. Is the Illuminati real? Let me show you.
The Federal Reserve the chairman of the Federal Reserve is on something called the National Advisory Council on International Monetary and Financial Policies. That's supposed to be the oversight agency. The Treasury Secretary chairs that group. The chairman of the SEC is on it. The chairman of the Export-Import Bank, all of the Commerce Department, all of the economic agencies of the U.S. government are supposed to be monitoring the World Bank because it has $180 billion worth of bonds on the capital markets. There is a corrupt group that has actually been called out by the foremost university in Europe called the Federal Institute of Technology, located in Zurich, Switzerland. 3 mathematicians modeled who owned the capital markets, and they found out that there was something they call the super entity, which is pulling down 60% of the annual earnings of the 43,000 transnational companies. And the 10 banks that everybody thinks are separate, like Goldman Sachs or Bank of America or Citibank, they all have the same directors on their boards. They're really, for practical purposes, one big conglomerate. And that group has been thinking that it's above the law, and it's not.
So what you're saying is that there's a supranational banking institution that has board members shared on multiple corporations. So they're basically intermarried banking institutions?
That's right. That's how we got the LIBOR scandal. That's how we have manipulation of gold prices and a lot of other nefarious goings on. And anybody in the government that tries to stand up to them, like JFK, for example, gets assassinated. That's what happened to Lincoln, the predecessor group. And when our founding fathers set up their Constitution, they knew about this group because there's actually a group behind that group. That's called the Jesuits.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
Tell us what exactly you witnessed, what corruption you witnessed while working at the World Bank in your 20 years there.
Okay, I didn't know anything actually about what I'm telling now. I was fired illegally in 2007 because I was just doing the job of a lawyer who's working for a company that has bonds outstanding on the capital markets, which is the financial statements have to be accurate, and they were not. Anybody who reported poor accounting practices got fired without any recourse because the World Bank is an international organization and you cannot sue it in court unless you're a bondholder. So what this sneaky group did was they took the same directors and put them on the boards of all the companies. That's called interlocking directors. And so this group has grabbed secret control of the 40% of the net worth of all of the companies traded on the capital markets and 60% of their annual earnings. After I was fired, I found out that one of the main functions of the World Bank and the IMF, you know, these two organizations are really, for all practical purposes, just one organization.
Right.
They're across the street from each other, and there's a board of governors, which is the ministers of finance of all the member countries. And those ministers of finance gather together twice a year, plus there's a group of 25 ministers of finance that meet and consult with each other on an ongoing basis. And so the answer is that, yes, there was always a secret hidden agenda, but at the same time, it is a convening party. And it is a structure that the people of the earth who want to clean up this corruption in the financial system. And it is a matter of whether or not we're going to continue with Western civilization. We're on the edge. Because when I started out, I was just doing what a lawyer inside an entity that issues bonds on the capital markets, because that's what the World Bank does. It issues $180 billion worth of bonds all over the place, denominated in all the currencies of the world. It takes the money from the people who buy those bonds and it trades on the capital markets, earns money. That's how the World Bank finances its budget. So I was trying to correct the financial information. That was my job as a lawyer inside the World Bank legal department.
Most people think that the UN is our last best hope for peace. That's the way it was sold to me when I was in school. It was offered as an organization where different nations could come together and work out their problems and their grievances in a peaceful manner, and be a means of reducing world conflict and increasing the economic prosperity of all of the member nations and all of these wonderful things. In reality, it turns out to be none of the above. In reality, the United Nations is the seat of what the member governments hope will become a true world government. It's to be a government. And there's nothing inherently wrong with a world government, but we need to ask the question, what kind of a world government is this going to be? If the United Nations were going to be a government based on all of the things they've said it was going to be, peace and prosperity and protecting individual rights and all of these things, I think it'd be pretty hard to oppose it. But in reality, it's being built as a model of collectivism. The political ideology that is inherent in the United Nations is collectivism.